Short weekend getaways, 7-night, 1-week cruises, one-ways, round trips, back-to-back, and world cruises. Each have unique benefits and differences. We will get into them all today on Seymour Seas. If you are looking at your first cruise or planning your next vacation, there is a cruise out there for every budget and time frame. In today's video, we are going to look at all of the options for the different lengths of cruises so you know what to expect. Hi everyone and welcome. If you are new here, I am Doug and this is Seymour Seas, your cruise tips and planning channel where I hope to help you and your family pick, plan, and enjoy your next cruise vacation. If you find the video helpful in any way, as always, you know what to do. Give it that thumbs up and please consider subscribing if you have not done so already. There's lots of great cruise content on here for you to enjoy. Thanks so much and let's get started. There are several different types of cruises that are identified by length. You're going to have short cruises, which are like 3-day and 4-day. The 3-day is normally going to be over a weekend. The 4-day is going to be the same itinerary. However, they're going to throw in another sea day. Now, on a 7-day cruise, these are normally the same itinerary as well. They may alternate itineraries. And what's great is that they leave on the same weekend day every week. 8 to 10-day cruises normally are the same itineraries. However, they push to go to a little bit further destination and it takes a little bit longer for them to get back. Now, 11 to 14-day cruises are normally, again, more remote destinations as well as possibly repositioning cruises, say going from the Mediterranean to the Caribbean or Alaska to the Caribbean at the end of a season. 14 days also can be 2 7-day cruises back-to-back using those alternating itineraries. World cruises are much longer and they are grand voyages such as 30 days all the way up to 140 days or more. Let's begin by digging down into those short cruises. Now, a 3-night cruise is going to be one that is normally going to be over the weekend. It is going to leave on Friday afternoon and return early Monday morning. This is going to be normally just maybe 1 or possibly 2 ports, and they're going to be very close by. The 4-night cruise is going to be the same itinerary that is going to leave on Monday afternoon and return on Friday morning. This is going to be the same itinerary. However, they're normally going to throw in 1 extra sea day. These are very popular from the South Florida ports of Fort Lauderdale and Miami. However, Port Everglades and Tampa also have these types of cruises. These short cruises that you may find are sometimes shakedown cruises. What this means is that we have a new ship, and what they're doing is they are testing out and shaking down the crew to make sure that they can identify any training opportunities that are needed before they start their full itineraries. You also might find some of these cruises for situations where they are adjusting their itineraries. Say they have just come over from that repositioning cruise and they need a few days just to get back on a weekly schedule. I actually did one of these on Allure of the Seas, my first time on an Oasis class ship from Royal Caribbean, and we did a 2-night sailing just to get familiar with the ship. These short cruises out of South Florida, normally you're going to visit the Bahamas to one of the cruise line's private islands, possibly Nassau, and also possibly Key West. This allows the ship to do a round trip from either Port Everglades in Fort Lauderdale or Port Miami. As I stated, 2-night cruises are somewhat rare. However, there is one cruise line, Margaritaville at Sea Paradise, that does round-trip 2 nights from the port of Palm Beach to Freeport, Bahamas. These short cruises, especially the 3-night cruises over the weekend, are going to be more lively and it's going to be a much more party atmosphere. They're going to the private islands, which are set up for the cruise line to host and put on a really nice beach party. The demographic is going to be much younger than you'll find on longer cruises, and they're also going to have many more families and children. These are obviously going to be budget friendly and less expensive than a longer cruise, and there's a number of reasons why. One is if they are going to the private islands and not to other locations, the port fees are going to be much less. They're going to travel much slower because these locations are very nearby the coast, so they're not using as much fuel. The entertainment offering on these short cruises are also going to be a little limited. However, you are going to have obviously one major theater show, and then you'll probably have some sort of alternate entertainment such as a headline singer or a comedian for the other evening of the cruise. Because this is going to be more of a party atmosphere, you're going to have a DJ and dancing in the lounges, as well as you're going to have in alternate lounges, you'll have some live music performances as well. And on most ships, you're going to have the opportunity for a deck party one of the evenings that might be a theme night, such as the White Party. Most of these short cruises are also going to spend longer days in port, and such as MSC, they do an overnight on their 4-night cruises to their private island, Ocean Key Marine Reserve. And if you are interested in taking advantage of the specialty dining venues on board on the larger ships for these short cruises, make sure that you are making your reservation immediately after booking pre-cruise, because these spots will fill up quickly. Let's move on now to the 7-night cruise, which is a full week-long cruise. These are extremely popular, and you can find these from most of the major cruise lines. Now, because they are so popular, is that they leave on the same day every weekend on the same itinerary. Now, this is very popular with families due to the fact that on those school holidays, they can do this during the school year and leave on, say, Sunday to Sunday. They fly out on Saturday and they can fly home on Sunday afternoon. This is also very helpful for those not wishing to use any extra vacation days. They normally have to just use the 5 days of during the week, and they don't have to add 1 or 2 days before or after the cruise. From the cruise line's perspective, this is very easy to provision because they have this down to a science, and they know what time of year and what itinerary, exactly what to provision, because the cruise is going to be the same every week. Now, you can say the same thing for almost any cruise because the cruise lines do have this down to a science. The 7-night cruises are also going to be normally the same itinerary or an alternating itinerary. Such as an example would be an Eastern Caribbean for 1 week and then a Western Caribbean for the other week. These 7-night cruises could also be one-way cruises. An example of that would be in Alaska. Normally you can leave out of Seattle or Vancouver and go up the Inside Passage to Seward, Alaska or Anchorage, and then return 7 days in the other direction. This allows people to do back-to-back sailings. What that means is they are combining 2 7-night cruises which have the alternating itineraries. The very cool thing about a back-to-back cruise is that normally you do not have to pack or unpack twice. You can stay on the ship, and normally they will take all the back-to-back passengers off the ship together as a group and then recheck them in, and you go back to the same stateroom. Expectations for a 7-night cruise begin with that there will be many families on board. These are very family-friendly cruises, and they leave the same day every week, making it very easy for the families to plan, and these are great alternatives to road trips. These 7-night sailings are also going to be on the larger ships from the cruise lines. These are the mega ships. They are built very family friendly, and they are going to fill up very, very quickly. There's also going to be a wide variety of entertainment on board with a variety of different main theater shows, as well as lots of opportunities for various lounge performers, as well as guest vocalists, comedians, and all sorts of other types of entertainment. There will be bingo, there will be activities such as Deal or No Deal in the main theater during the days, and you're also going to find a few sea days thrown in on a 7-night sailing. This has the opportunity for the cruise lines to make additional money with onboard spending, and they will have lots of activities during the day around the pool as well as in various venues around the ship. Sea days are very popular with guests, allowing them to have restful times around the pool, the adults area in the solarium, as well as looking out onto the ocean, reading a good book on the balcony. The dining on a 7-night cruise is also going to be varied. You're going to have a different menu every day in the main dining room, and you're also going to have ample opportunity to get those reservations in various dining venues. I do always recommend, though, to arrange your dining reservations in those specialty dining restaurants pre-cruise. As we now take a look at some of the longer cruises, 7-day plus, these are going to be cruises such as 8 to 10-day cruises that are going to be going to more distant, remote locations. This is an example of maybe a Southern Caribbean cruise out of South Florida or the Gulf, where you're going to be going down to Aruba and Curacao. This is also an opportunity to do some of the other islands south of St. Martin, such as Dominica, Martinique, Barbados. These are going to be longer destinations, and then it's going to take a little bit longer getting back to port. The Canada, New England cruises are also an example of this. You're going to find a little bit longer of itineraries based on the fact that you'll be either round trip out of the East Coast all the way through Nova Scotia down to Quebec City and return round trip. Some of these on smaller ships are going to be expedition itineraries, and it will be a one-way between Quebec City and an East Coast port, such as Boston or New York. The 12 to 14-day sailings are going to be either a repositioning cruise, such as a transatlantic or a trans-Pacific at the end of a season. For example, when the Mediterranean in October, those assets are transferred back to the Caribbean for the winter months for the new Caribbean season. You also might find ones that are out of season when they're doing a transatlantic from the United States to Europe for maybe a major dry dock. This is a great opportunity to get some really great values and prices for those transatlantic crossings. The 14 days, as I mentioned earlier, also could be 2 7-day back-to-back sailings in the Caribbean, or sometimes even in areas such as the Galapagos, where you have the inner loop and the outer loop. Many people like to do a back-to-back sailing for those types of expedition cruises. Some of the expectations for a longer cruise is that, for one, you are going to have less children and families on board. This is because it's very difficult to squeeze these longer cruises into the school holidays, and you're not going to find many during the summer months. These will also be the medium-sized to larger ships for these major transatlantic and trans-Pacific crossings. There is going to be several sea days and few ports for these itineraries. These are meant for people that love the sea days, they love the restful days at sea, reading a good book on the outside decks or on their balcony, and it is a very relaxing cruise. The entertainment on board is going to be varied. However, they may repeat a show or two during the 14-day crossing. If you're looking for specialty dining, you're going to have ample opportunity to find one of the evenings on the itinerary where you can squeeze in a wonderful dining event. Now, in the main dining room, you normally will not have repeated meals due to the fact that most cruise lines go on a 14-day schedule rotation for their menus. Let's finish up now with the extended itinerary cruises. These are the world cruises or grand voyages. These are going to be either a month to several months, anywhere from 30 to 140 days and more. There are various entry points for these cruises. They are sold in either the full itinerary or different segments for various embarkation ports along the way. These are very, very port intensive. You're going to visit a number of locations with several sea days thrown in between. The demographic on board is going to be much older than you're going to find on the shorter cruises due to the fact that most of these people are retired with the means to pay for these cruises. There's almost never going to be family or children on these cruises. These can be quite expensive, so you're going to find them on more of the premium brands as well as the luxury brands. These would be cruise lines such as Holland America or Princess. Then you have Azamara, you have Oceania, Viking, Regent Seven Seas, and several others. These are also going to be the smaller, older ships in the cruise line's fleet. Further expectations for these sailings is that you will be part of a community. This is a very communal environment where you will get to know your fellow guests very well. The entertainment on board is going to be varied, and you will most likely witness a rotation of the cast members from the major shows. Port enrichment talks and lectures will be the focus of the daytime activities, preparing you for the upcoming ports. Also, in the evenings, you may have some local entertainment being brought on board due to the fact that you will have many opportunities for overnight stays in these ports. The cuisine on board is also going to be quite varied, where you will be witnessing and tasting the local cuisine due to the fact that they will be sourcing the food to serve you from those local communities. Crew rotations are to be expected and witnessed for these sailings, and you will also note that most of these are going to be one-way sailings and not round trip. However, you may find a few examples of a round trip sailing for the full itinerary. So whether you're looking for a budget-friendly weekend getaway or even a longer one-week cruise, there is something out there for everyone. You can tack on another 7-night and do a back-to-back, or travel to a more distant destination for an even longer cruise. Whatever your time frame is, as well as your budget, there is an option out there for you and your family. All the various cruise line and segments have options for you, whether it be the mass market, family-friendly cruises, the premium lines, the luxury lines, or the expedition ships. There is something out there for you. You may want to watch this video next, where I explain the difference in each of those segments. I'll leave the link at the end of this video as well as in the description below. I really hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please hit that subscribe button for additional cruise content, tips, and my personal ship reviews. When you're ready to book your next cruise, please email me at the email address shown here, or you can find it in the contact information in the description below. Here's a couple links to other videos which I think you might like. Thanks everybody for watching today, and as always, I'll see you again soon.